Coming into this season, Dan Campbell was 6-2 against Matt LaFleur and the Packers. The Lions got lit up week 1. Trying to avoid the sweep, the Packers came to Ford Field on Thanksgiving. Playoff hopes are on the line primarily for Detroit, and we had ourselves a chess match of a game. It was an insane, and of course, it's not Detroit Lions Thanksgiving football without some controversial calls. Getting into the game, due to his consistent injuries and was actually placed on IR today, Terrion Arnold had a limited snap count in this one, so we continued to see Amik Robertson get a ton of action. As you see Christian Watson pick up 17 yards on the Packers' opening drive. Some of it was good for Robertson, some of it, though, was a bit of a struggle. And you'll notice fairly quickly when watching this game that when the Lions secondary was struggling, it was because Jordan Love was making throws. There, Dobbs catches the sideline 2nd and 9 pass, barely gets in bounds. But Detroit's defense, with a little help on this play, would force an early Green Bay field goal. And I don't think that the Lions secondary played bad by any means. They actually forced one of Jordan Love's lowest completion percentages of the season. But when the big moments arose and Green Bay needed it, Jordan Love put it on the money. And it kills me to say that as an unbiased Lions fan. Fuck the Packers. Switching sides of the ball, the Detroit Lions offensive start in this game was probably the worst start you could possibly imagine. First play of the game with Graham Glasgow out, Tristan Colin steps on Goff's foot and he falls on the handoff. Then on 3rd and 8, 2 defenders off the blitz instantly meet Goff in the backfield. Dan Campbell's not loving it. First play of their second drive, St. Brown suffers an ankle injury. Colin actually falls onto his ankle, so apparently he was just stepping on everybody to start the game. Then on 3rd and long, Parsons brings down Goff in the backfield. You lose your star wide receiver. Just a horrible first 2 drives. The Lions defense would finish out the first quarter with some pretty strong defense. Terrion Arnold lays a huge hit on Chris Brooks on 3rd and 9. You wonder if this is where he re-aggravates his shoulder injury he's been dealing with. Then on the Packers' 3rd drive of the night, after a 29-yard Josh Jacobs run, his longest of the game, DJ Reader would jump off sides on 3rd and 4, just outside field goal range. Just an absolute backbreaker for the Lions defense. This is the first example of where the Lions in this game had a few simple mistakes and the Packers just didn't have any. Then on 3rd and 2, Love would fire to Watson in the end zone. Branch in coverage would deny the pass. This would force a 4th and 2 from the 22-yard line. Matt LaFleur would keep the offense out on the field, and Love would put up a moon ball to the left corner of the end zone to Wicks, and he'd come down with it for the touchdown. And there is just a lot to unpack in this play. First, Harper, filling in for Kirby Joseph, comes across the end zone and looks to make a play on the ball instead of deliver a hit on Wicks, which could have jarred the ball loose. Instead, he's looking up like he's going to make an interception. Just blows my mind. Anyway, then there was a conversation of, was this a catch? Wicks catches it with both hands, gets his right foot down, but then transfers the ball to his left hand, avoiding Harper, then gets his left foot, and his right foot comes down out of bounds. So did you think during that motion of transferring the ball from both his hands to his left hand that he lost control of the football? I don't think so. Then while watching OSU U of M, I found it intriguing that there was a similar situation. Did Jeremiah Smith in his first half touchdown lose control of the football, then step out of bounds, resulting in a safety? I think they were both touchdowns. Sometimes when you put things in slow motion, you can find things that really aren't there. Detroit's 3rd drive, they finally got going offensively. Jameson Williams picked up a huge chunk. He has been playing great recently. Has 4 touchdowns in his last 5 games and only had 3 targets against the Giants, so it's understandable he didn't have one. Then on 3rd and 13, Tom Kennedy climbs the ladder to pick up 23, giving Detroit 1st and goal. After a false start, they handed off to Montgomery, 3 straight plays, a direct snap to him on 3rd and goal when he scores. I love this from Dan Campbell. When you're in 1st, 2nd, 3rd and goal, just hand it off to Montgomery a few times in a row. He will get you the touchdown consistently. With just under 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, the Packers' 4th drive of the game, this is where the controversy would occur. You see here, Watson makes an incredible catch on 3rd and 3, barely securing the first down. And I talked about mistakes. The only mistake the Packers would make would be when Jordan Love would fumble the fake, pick it up, and throw an incompletion. Just lucky the ball bounced his way. Then a few plays later, Wicks would convert a 3rd and 5 over Amik Robertson. Then on 2nd and 8, Musgrave would pick up 23 with Love rolling out to his right. Anzalone in coverage couldn't catch him. That's the matchup Matt LaFleur was looking for in that play. The Lions' red zone defense would continue their excellent season. On 3rd and 7, they'd have a penalty, forcing a 3rd and 3 where Love would be taken down, forcing another 4th and 2 for the Packers, which they would put their offense out to go for. And with the play clock running down, Anthony Belton would jump off sides. But wait, Matt LaFleur is yelling over to the officials saying that he called a timeout before the false start, which then the refs call. And looking at the replay, you can see where Matt LaFleur at the top left of your screen puts his hands up to call timeout is after the false start penalty takes place. Granted, it was really close. I understand how the officials could have gotten it wrong. What I am annoyed about is Matt LaFleur yelling to the group of officials conversating about the play, telling them that he called a timeout when he knows that he didn't call it in time. Anyway, still 4th and 2. DJ Reed hesitates for just a moment with Watson coming by him, giving Dobbs a step on him, and he scores the touchdown. Just another unlucky sequence for the Lions, added to the list for the season. Rock Ya-Sin pass interference against the Eagles, and then Jared Goff's touchdown against the Chiefs being taken away. I'm not saying Detroit loses because of these scenarios by any means, no excuses, but I am saying it's pretty interesting and annoying when you're a Lions fan. Moving on to Detroit's next drive, just before half, Jameson Williams spins off of Valentine in the backfield on 3rd down on a screen and scores a touchdown, making it a 3-point game just before half, which is huge. And with a really big opportunity to swing momentum, 4th and 3 just across midfield, the first possession of the second half, Gibbs up the middle is absolutely destroyed. Parsons is in on it. This play had zero potential, is absolutely blown up. Then 2 plays later, Love puts it on the money. Watson, 51-yard touchdown bomb with Robertson in coverage. He's way behind him. This fan's reaction says it all. What a turn of events. The Lions would keep battling, though. Jared Goff would lead Detroit on a nice long drive down the field and find Isaac Tesla in the end zone for an amazing diving catch. His 3rd touchdown of his career. He only has 6 catches and half of them were touchdowns and 2 against the Packers. Sadly for the Lions, though, the Packers' next drive would be a similar story to the first half. A long ball to Wicks for 30 yards. Harper would go down with an injury. Then on 3rd and 1 in the red zone, Love would have to throw it out of the back of the end zone. But a Jack Campbell face mask penalty would extend the drive, resulting in a Wicks touchdown 2 plays later. Terrion Arnold in coverage just getting burned. The second 3rd down penalty against the Lions that turns a potential field goal into a touchdown for the Packers. Detroit with the ball back. Montgomery would lateral to Goff, but he would drop the ball. Oh my gosh, he had an open man down the field. Would have set up a huge gain for the Detroit Lions. J-Mo and Gibbs would get Detroit back down the field just outside the red zone on the 21-yard line, and the offense would be faced with a 4th and 3 down 10. And this is where Dan Campbell is Dan Campbell. It's 4th and 3. You're down 2 scores. Do you go for the touchdown or the field goal? Here, I would like to go for the field goal. Make it a 1-score game. Your offense is struggling. Laporta and St. Brown are not out there. But Dan trusts the offense, and Goff rolls out to his right, finds Williams, but he drops it. He does throw it behind J-Mo. Both of them admitted that it was both of their faults, and it's true. I understand believing in your team and going for it, and usually I defend Dan Campbell, and people also bring up when they beat the Rams by 1 point in the playoffs and they went for it on 4th and goal. I just don't like that risk because you risk it being a 2-score game when you have a very high chance of making it a 1-score game, and you're not even guaranteed to score a touchdown there because you're still at the 20-yard line, and the offense recently against the Eagles, against the Giants, against the Packers here has not been very good in the red zone. And I mean, just against the Eagles and in this game, going for it on 4th down is kind of what killed the Lions instead of kicking a field goal that could keep you in the game. Usually, again, I'm all for what Dan Campbell does, and I have faith in him, but this is now 2 of the last 3 weeks where going for it on 4th down when I believe you shouldn't have really hurt the Lions. And it's kind of a slap in your face when the defense keeps you in it. You drive down the field later in the game and you end up kicking that field goal. And I can't stress this enough that those penalties on 3rd down by the Lions defense that extended Packer drives and those 4th down attempts was the difference in this game. Both teams had 20 first downs, 350 yards of total offense, 0 turnovers. The Packers 3 for 3 on 4th down. The Lions 0 for 2 on 4th down. And speaking of, Detroit needs to make a stop on the Packers that still have a chance in this game. Branch breaks up the pass to Watson, but on 4th and 3, they elect to go for it, and off his back foot, Love finds Wicks. Branch in coverage again. Gotta be honest, another great throw from Jordan Love. There's been a lot of talk about Aiden Hutchinson. Jordan Love wasn't under much pressure in this game. He didn't get sacked once. I think teams do a lot to avoid Aiden Hutchinson rolling out in the opposite direction, getting the ball out fast. I'd say the Lions secondary is all right, but the run defense stands to consistently be good. They haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher yet. They've just allowed their first 300-yard passer last week against Jameis Winston. And Josh Jacobs, besides one long run, didn't have that big of a game. I think the big thing is the defense needs to force some more turnovers. In this quote here from Dan Campbell, I don't really understand what he's talking about because statistically, Jordan Love held on the ball longer than usual and had longer of a time to throw against the Lions than his other opponents. But it doesn't matter because the defense, I don't believe, is the problem with Detroit. I think it's the offense. Goff consistently being under pressure. Now St. Brown is going to be out for 1 to 2 weeks after Laporta is already out for the season. And the Detroit Lions 4th down conversions. Because even with Kirby Joseph out, Teron Arnold out, the defense is still keeping them in games and playing really well and doing especially good against the run. Overall, though, Dan Campbell's crew is in the thick of it. They're one spot out of the playoffs. The 49ers have the last wildcard spot with 9 wins. The NFC is a bloodbath right now, and there's 5 weeks left in the season. It does not look like the Detroit Lions will be able to win the NFC North, but there is always a chance. They play the Bears in Week 18. They hold the tiebreaker over the Bears. If they beat them Week 18, they would just have to get 1 game above the Packers and tie with the Bears and beat them Week 18. It's not impossible, but it is looking very improbable. Detroit must go 4-1 or 3-2. Obviously, 5-0 gets them into the playoffs. 4-1 gets them into the playoffs. 3-2 is about, I think, 50% I saw of the time you get into the playoffs. Overall, the Lions have a 43% chance to get into the playoffs right now. It's looking rough. And the must-win game is this coming week at Ford Field against the Cowboys because we are 1 spot above them in the wild card race. My prediction is that the Lions are going to win out the next 5 games. I think they are better than their next 5 opponents and make the playoffs. I think this team is good enough. They've just got to clean a few things up, make a few better decisions, maybe get some guys back from injury. I think this team will be good. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Still very nervous, though, about the Lions making the playoffs, even though that's my prediction. Very excited. If you enjoy my content, I'd really appreciate if you could like, subscribe. Really helps me out a lot. And as always, thanks for watching.